Are parental rights under assault in Texas? Welcome to another episode of the Family Freedom Caller, brought to you by the Texas Homeschool Coalition and the Family Freedom Project. Today we're diving into the topic that's been at the heart of THSC's mission for nearly 4 decades: parental rights. In the 1980s, THSC took a stand alongside homeschooling parents, passionately asserting that parents possess a fundamental, God-given right to raise their children as they see fit. This includes the freedom to choose the education they believe best suits their children, which for many is homeschooling. Fast forward to today, and we're knee-deep in a situation where thousands of parents have had a serious wake-up call about the realities of what their children are being exposed to in public schools. The COVID-19 lockdown played a significant role here. Many have become deeply involved in addressing concerns ranging from what's been termed the sexualization of children to issues like school board policies, LGBTQ curriculum, transgender topics, and even the presence of controversial sexually oriented books in public school libraries. These concerns have led to demonstrations, protests at school board meetings, and the passing of legislation, often with unintended consequences. Some of these laws have inadvertently undermined or even compromised the rights of parents to be informed about what's happening with their children in public schools. It's a time that underscores the vital need for those of us who firmly believe that parents should be the primary decision makers for their children. We've got to keep a watchful eye on what's happening both locally and at the state level when it comes to these fundamental parental rights. It's no surprise that these policies have contributed to the continued growth of homeschooling across the country, including right here in Texas. Now let's talk about California, where the debate over parental rights has reached a particularly intense level. The state recently enacted laws allowing children from outside the state of California, where gender surgery, some would call it mutilation of minors, is not permitted or is prohibited by state law, to receive devastating, irreversible, and experimental treatments in California. Even more astonishing, the California legislature passed a measure that would have considered parents not affirming transgender children as a factor in child custody decisions. Essentially, failing to affirm a child's gender preference could have been deemed child abuse and a reason to lose custody of their children. So the legislature in California passed that bill. They sent it to the governor, and in an unexpected twist, Governor Gavin Newsom of California vetoed that bill. That's a move that was surprising to many, as legislation had been authored by Lori Wilson herself, a parent of transgender child. And this had overwhelming support among the democratically dominated California legislature. Most, in fact, I should say some, see this as a effort by Governor Gavin Newsom to position himself more appropriately in his many are anticipating it may be a run for the presidency of the United States. Meanwhile, in Texas, things are a little bit different. The legislature passed SB 14, a law that prohibits irreversible and experimental treatments to minors, which includes surgeries and other kinds of medications. That bill has sparked a legal battle, with the ACLU challenging the law, suing the state, and arguing that parents have the right to make those kinds of medical decisions for their children. So let me be clear, THSC is not sitting on the sidelines. This is our issue. We're actively involved and will be filing an amicus brief in that case before the Texas Supreme Court. And while our position is clear and has been clear for a long time, parents do have a right to make medical decisions for their children. They should not have the right to subject their children to irreversible experimental surgeries that growing data indicates can be profoundly damaging. In fact, I read some case law recently where people were comparing this to back in the day, 100 years ago or so, when experimentally doctors were doing lobotomies, where they were going in and removing parts of the brains of children, where parents wanted this because they were seeking that to treat some kinds of conditions. And the courts essentially said, parents, you don't have the right to do this. So some are comparing it to those kinds of situations. So we have a unique credibility with the Supreme Court of Texas on parental rights issues. That is our issue. We've argued that before them on a number of occasions. And while we support SB 14, we are mostly concerned about safeguarding parental rights. So we're going to be arguing in that case that parents do have a fundamental God-given right to make decisions for their children, including medical decisions. But in this situation, we agree with the state. And our goal in presenting that is to make sure that the court understands and the court doesn't somehow inadvertently undermine the fundamental right of parents to make those decisions. So are parental rights under the assault in Texas? Absolutely, but not in the way you might think. The fundamental right of parents to provide guidance to their children and shield them from complexities of emerging and dangerous transgender theory faces a direct and formidable challenge. However, we stand resolute, committed to the protection and preservation of all of our parental rights. So thank you for listening. If you'd like to support our mission, you can find us at thsc.org. Join us in the ongoing fight to protect the rights of parents to protect their children. And if you found this episode valuable, please share it with your friends and fellow homeschoolers. Until the next time, stay strong, stay informed, and thank you for helping us keep Texas families free.